Question number 43 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 4. Over the course of the passage, the focus shifts from. So realize this is a quote question as well. 44 is connected to 43. And this is a focus shift question. So we need to understand roughly what happens in the beginning and then roughly what happens at the end. It's very crude. There's no like exact formula other than to realize focus shift. Like broadly speaking, let's summarize the beginning and then let's summarize the end. Over the course of the passage, the focus shifts from a criticism of a scientific model. So are we criticizing a scientific model to a new theory? Even though they do bring up the new theory of Ecuador's Q43, they don't ever give it credibility because they actually say it's not the volcano. So even if weakly a new theory, that's the new theory, it's not a new theory because furthermore they're not the focus doesn't shift in the beginning from like let's criticize a scientific model, whatever that means. I don't know what a scientific model means. Let's criticize it. Let's show why it's wrong. They're not talking about for the first half of the piece why a particular thought or theory has been wrong. They're actually just trying to better understand and identify the volcano responsible for the Little Ice Age. So they don't propose an alternative theory only to shoot it down. I'm not liking that. I'm not liking A. Let's take a look at B. Over the course of the passage, the focus shifts from a description of a recorded event to its likely cause. So the recorded event is probably the Little Ice Age. We know the Little Ice Age occurred. We know that the temperatures dropped significantly in the 13th century, all the way up to the 17th century. So what's its cause? I think we're trying to figure out, identifying the volcano responsible. So isn't the piece then start by saying a powerful volcano erupted in the Middle Ages? Maybe you can even think that is the recorded event to its likely cause. The likely cause was the Samalas volcano. So the beginning is roughly talking about we have an ice age, we have a volcano. What's the deal with that? And then by the middle to end, we identify here's the volcano, we think we found it, and here's the reason why we think that was the cause. So a description of a recorded event to its likely cause, maybe. I like how it's vague. I like how we can pick what we want these things to mean and not be wrong, which is always important for a right answer. It can't be proven wrong. What about C? The use of ice core samples to a new method of measuring sulfates. This is not the focus. This is not the main point. The main point is not, let's talk about ice core samples. That's like the real thing that we're talking about in this piece. And then we're going to talk about a new way of measuring sulfates. They do talk about those things, but that's very obliquely mentioned. It's talked about in order to propose or in order to better understand the ice samples, the radiocarbon dating, all that stuff about when this actually happened. So I'm not liking the fact that we're being led astray by, they kind of are distracting us with like a flashy, shiny thing, and we don't want that. This is a lore answer. That's not the main shift from the passage or what it's about or what we need to be thinking about when we zoom out to approach the meaning of this piece. Over the course of the passage, the focus shifts from D, the use of radiocarbon dating to an examination of volcanic glass. Again, misleading. They want us to care about radiocarbon dating to an examination of volcanic glass. Radiocarbon dating, again, it's misleading. They want us to say, oh, this is about radiocarbon dating, and this is about volcanic glass. It's not. It's not about those things. It's about figuring out, hey, what was the reason behind this source of mysterious medieval eruption? What was the reason behind the Little Ice Age? Let's talk about it. That's going to be answer choice B. A description of a recorded event, which is the Ice Age, or maybe even, I'm being very open-ended about this, or maybe the eruption itself to a likely cause. What was the cause? Where was it? Why did it happen? When did it happen? So I think the answer for 43 is going to be B, but just to be sure, let's take a look at the answers for 44. Question number 44 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 4. Which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? So the previous question was asking the focus, the main focus shifts from what? And we think the answer is going to be a description of a recorded event, which is like the Ice Age, the eruption, to its likely cause. What was the reason? Where was it? What was the volcano that caused this to happen? When did it occur? So let's pretend like we don't know the answer choices for 43. We are just asking a very basic question. Over the course of the passage, the focus shifts from what? What does it shift from? Let's read 1725. Does this talk about the shift of the passage? This change in how we look and approach this piece? In 2012, a team of scientists led by geochemist Gifford Miller strengthened the link between the mysterious eruption and the onset of the Little Ice Age by using radiocarbon dating of dead plant material from beneath the ice caps on Baffin Island to Iceland, as well as ice and sediment core data. Okay? They wanted to strengthen the link between the mysterious eruption and the onset of the Little Ice Age. They want to find a better link between these two events by using radiocarbon dating to determine that the cold summers and ice growth began abruptly between 1275 and 1300 and intensified in the mid-1400s. So, maybe, over the course of the past, the focus shifts from a description of a recorded event to its likely cause. We know that this thing happened. We know the mysterious eruption occurred, and we know the Little Ice Age occurred. Let's better understand that connection. Let's better understand the link between this event and its likely cause. I don't know. Let's leave that. What about B? 43 to 46. Does this talk about the focus and how it shifts in the passage? The researchers then began to reconstruct the formation of the large 800-meter deep caldera that now sits atop the volcano. Recreating the caldera doesn't answer the central shift. Is that the central shift of the piece? That's like the main thing that we care about? No. 46 to 48. Remember, this is all about, if we just look at the title, sometimes the title helps us renormalize and kind of reposition ourselves when we kind of get lost. Source of mysterious medieval eruption identified. We identified a mysterious medieval eruption. And we need to understand and unravel and unmask the mystery. Reconstructing caldera is not part of that objective. What about 46-48? Does this talk about the shift that happened in the passage? They examined 130 outcrops from the flanks of the volcano, exposing sequences of pumice, ash, hardened rock, and other pyroclastic material. So just by examining that, did that shift the focus of the piece? No. Examining ash and stuff surrounding this theorized, proposed origin of the eruption, that's not going to be a central shift or the central, thing that the passage did in order to solidify the relationship between the events. What about 55 to 60? Does this talk about the focus shifts from? The team also performed. Notice how this is always like, they did this, and they did this, and they also did that. And there's only one answer choice that, broadly speaking, summarizes what they did. D says the team also performed radiocarbon analyses on carbonized trees, trunks, and branches buried within the pyroclastic deposits to confirm the date of the eruption. It could not, they concluded, have happened before 1257. Okay, so this is again very specific about doing radiocarbon analysis on carbonized tree trunks. Not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. It's not talking about the focus and how it shifted. We're just talking about things that they did as extra experiments to confirm that this volcano was the volcano that was in question. But notice on how A, I keep going back to A in terms of answering the question, over the course of the passage the focus shifts from. We wanted to strengthen the link between the mysterious eruption and the onset of the Little Ice Age. And we did all this stuff, radiocarbon dating, plant material, ice and sediment data, in order to come to the conclusion that this happened in the 14th, 13th century. So I really like A. And I don't think this is actually a very clear-cut connection. I feel like this is very broad. When we talk about, find a quote that talks about a shift, but I know that the answer can't be B, C, or D for 44. That they're not those are not central points in the piece that help us better understand how this piece progressed. And remember, this piece is all about the source of the mysterious medieval eruption. And we identify the link between the eruption and the Little Ice Age, and that is nicely encapsulated in answer choice A for 44. When we take a look actually at the quote for A, 17 to 25, this connection between the mysterious eruption and the Little Ice Age through the eruption, if we read a little bit after this piece, or this quote rather, such a sudden onset points to a huge volcanic eruption. We're making this connection, this mysterious eruption and the source, and saying that, yeah, it was a volcanic eruption, because only a volcanic eruption can lead to such a precipitous, abrupt cold snap. So again, the answer for 44, I really like is A, and that nicely matches up with a description of a recorded event to its likely cause. It was probably caused by a volcano because of all these things, because of all the information that we found from the ice caps, from the temperature, making this eruption connected to the Little Ice Age. Again, answer 43B, 44A.